Hey, let's do a video, huh? Module 5. How's everybody doing? Hope you're having a good weekend. Had a good week. Looking forward to scoring those Module 4 lit reviews. But Module 5, this looks like this is really a good module to bring us together in terms of on the same page, right? So I'm just gonna go through some general stuff before I get into specifics and things that I consider important. So Module 5 addresses the idea that there are multiple ways of implementing a plan to address an opportunity for social change, right? Um, the wide variety of resources that could be used or needed to implement a plan, including non-tangible resources. So we're talking here about that there are multiple ways of implementing a plan to address an opportunity for social change, all right? The importance of considering the benefit to community members when planning an intervention to address an opportunity for social change. Sounds like gobbledygook, perhaps. As we get through this, I'm sure it'll start clearing up. Um, Note that the peer workshop discussion is a little differently than typical course discussions, but again, like the previous one, it is set up in groups. I haven't changed anything, so you should still see your same group. If you don't, please let me know as soon as possible so I can troubleshoot that. All right. Um, but that's what you can look forward to there. Um, I appreciate if you read the prompt thoroughly and the guidelines, and then timeliness. I always yawn. Timeliness is essential in this discussion board. Really help each other out because our groups are small, so we can work together on this, right? Okay. Any feedback you receive in the peer workshop discussion, you can be considered and applied to your second section of the project. All right. In the peer workshop discussion, students work to determine the process, resources, and where was I? Oh, and the benefits of community members and potential outcomes relevant to the strategy that they recommended in previous module. Okay, so just look at that close. Group dynamics are important. We talked about that, and you know about that, right? A reminder: your project is due in 2 weeks. Continue working on the project using the feedbacks from your previous assignments. Blah blah blah. You can read. I can read. I don't need to read it to you, right? Okay, let's talk about some of the things that have come up as we've gotten through this, and I want to talk about. First major point: social awareness campaigns. Okay. It's been brought up more than once. I don't think I'm talking about you because a number of you are bringing it up, and I wanted to clear this up here. Remember the name of the course: Problem Solving for Social Change. It is not problem analysis for social awareness. It is not problem awareness for social awareness. It's not problem awareness so somebody can do something. It's problem solving for social change, which means it's up to each of us. We're trying to talk about what it means to be not so much a leader, but someone who can implement, someone who can think about these things and be a problem solver, right? It's not about having the spreading the awareness. Okay, does awareness solve a problem? Just awareness of it? I mean, maybe awareness leads to solutions, but awareness itself is not a solution. So, yes, you can implement a strategy that includes public awareness campaign, okay? But you can't stop there because it does nothing to solve the issue, okay? Because what you're saying here is make the public aware of this problem and then the public will solve it. Who's going to solve it, right? Okay. If you add, social awareness campaign to your problem solving, okay, but you got to get to the next layer, the next level, okay? Think about it further. Is your problem well known already? Many of them are. Some of them, it's the first I've heard of them. Kudos to you for seeing that, right? So some of them are well known problems, right? So self-awareness, social awareness isn't really going to push it to a further solution, right? Um, it accomplishes a knowing about it, of course, but it doesn't accomplish the doing, right? So um, let's see. So if we look at social consciousness and the social awareness and a campaign of social awareness, you can say, well, then what, right? Then what? What happens after I put all this together? Then what? Consider something tangible, okay? We are most realistic about changes, small bites, served realistically. Small changes can lead to bigger changes, okay? Choosing an action to take. This is a page on Module 5. Fabulous. This is where you can get so many questions answered, or at least have some context cleared up, right? Choosing an action to take, right? Because a social awareness campaign, yes, is an action, but it's not leading to social change, it's leading to awareness, all right? And unless you can convince somebody that just the awareness alone will make your social problem disappear, then it's going to take more, correct? They have some very important information there. They talk about the details, the logistics of actually putting something together. I mean, how many, red plastic cups are you going to need for your meeting? How many miles are you going to have to drive? How are you going to do this or that? It's very important to see this because it brings the ethereal, the idealistic ideas like, well, there's this problem we have in society and somebody needs to solve it. So please, let's go solve it. I know how you can solve it. You can, we can stop using plastics. We can stop wasting. We can start recycling. We do this. But anybody can do that. We're not doing that anymore. We're trying to be boots on the ground, front lines, make the change happen, right? So read that. It's so important, okay? There's some really good examples in there of how to take it from that, kernel of thought or that social awareness to bring it into some action, actionable items that you can do, intervention, basically, okay? It'll show us the difference between action and awareness. Awareness is, in my opinion, it's a dynamic of action, but I know what I was going to say. On that page, just so you know, on that entire page, the word aware is only in there twice. Awareness does not even show up. Aware shows up twice in sentences that talk about yourself being aware of something, okay? So it doesn't even get into any social awareness as an example of anything like this. So this is important, okay? And it's going to be where you're really going to find some answers to what you're going to do, okay? The group discussion, you're going to briefly describe the social issue and strategy you're preparing to plan for the future, among other things. You're going to explain a process, identify the resources, talk about the benefit to the community, discuss potential outcomes. Now, again, I'm going to use this opportunity of being in video to again tell you that, if you want to talk about any of these things, I'm here to talk about it, all right? I have a fairly open week usually, and I don't mind brainstorming with you. I'm not going to sit here and say, set up a call with me because I got the answers. If I did, man, I'd be leading activism, activist efforts and things. I don't, but I do have experience contextualizing things and brainstorming and thinking outside the box, what have you. I am a interdisciplinarian by training and experience, and therefore I like to think that I can pull upon dynamics from many different disciplines, academic disciplines, that will help you to solve this. Now, if I look at the pages here, the resources, there's a resource page, and of course I haven't logged in a while, so now it's going to tell me it wants me to log in again. Let's try this. Come on. Okay. So, Taking Action is a great page. Really check this out. I'm sure it'll help give you context of some ideas for your solution itself. All of a sudden I became a little head in the corner here when I was sucking up a lot of space, leaning forward. That's the trick. Okay, resources. There's required readings, 3 of them, 1, 2. No, there's 2. And then the optional support, let me just start there, is the interdisciplinary studies in the Commons Library Guide. Again, I think that they eliminated interdisciplinary studies as a specific degree to get, because I have my bachelor's and master's in interdisciplinary studies. But the Commons is basically bringing all that together anyways. And so, like I said, there is a IDS 410 section in here, if you haven't seen that yet, that could give you some help and ideas, right? To talk about. Now, so check that out. That was the optional one. But the required ones, again, paying your light bill, is it required? Watching this, is it required? None of it's required. You do what you think you should do, right? And I'd like you to do it all. Okay, before starting a community engagement effort, that's a reading from the Principles of the Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry. It looks pretty interesting, especially for those of you that chose sustainability as your overarching theme, I guess. And so there are things in here that will give you, again, some ideas, some help in letting this thing form so that you can articulate it at the end of the day, at the end of the course. From Sage Journals, we have, Why Action Needs Compassion, Creating Space for Experiences of Powerlessness and Suffering in Participatory Action Research. Wow, I love that. That's real research, by the way. That's a research paper. That's the kind of thing you use as source material and literature review that informs and guides your current research, okay? It's not, Forbes.com. It's not encyclopedia. It's not anything. This is actual research that has been through the Sage Journals. It's published research. And again, I want to emphasize, if you don't know this already, published research is up here, okay? It's up here in the research. It means that the researchers, which just like you and I, we could be researchers, doesn't have any certain requirements except your own credibility and your drive and your ability to define a problem, create a theory, collect data, analyze it, produce a hypothesis or results, things like that. And then they present it to particular journals. Sage Journals is a publisher. There are many publishers of journals, Harvard Press, Sage Journals. These are all publishers of academic journals. Sage Journal is not an academic journal. It's a publisher of academic journals, okay? So just like you could say, what is it, Gannett newspapers, those newspaper business, Gannett newspaper. It's not a newspaper itself, but it owns a ton of newspapers across the country, right? Sage Journals publish, so there's a great article here, and it's gone through a peer review. That means it went through a peer review, a review of peers in the same fields, and who determined that it was credible and it added to the knowledge in the field, and therefore it gets published. If you look at Sage Journal's main page, you can browse journals by discipline: health sciences, life and biomed, materials science, social sciences, humanities, or explore discipline hubs. See, so it represents the entire wheel of academia and all the different things in it. That's Sage Journals. Also, any academic publisher, academic journal publisher. This is a bonus lesson here for those of you who are not familiar with this terminology. So Cambridge University Press, Oxford University Press, Springer, Sage, Allen Press, Elsevier, Taylor and Francis. I mean, there's just tons of them, okay? I'm just talking about some you might be familiar with, okay? They publish journals, and some of them specialize in particular disciplines, some bring in almost anything. But that is something good to know as an academic. And even when you get out there to real life, which I know you're out there now, but you can discern this then. If you see an article on, your main page, MSN or whatever, and it says, recent research shows that the Loch Ness Monster could be out there, right? So you look at it and you say, well, whose research is this? And you find that it's a group of retired people that, nothing wrong with that, that's me, that happen to live near the Loch Ness, and they feel that their research shows it is. But what did they use for research? So, you take it, you put it in a value of they're all not the same, just because the research word is used, right? I think I said that. What did I come across? Yeah, I said I watched this show, and the guest said they did a study in Pittsburgh of the police and blah blah blah. And I said, well, who did a study? Who? You can't just say they did a study. Who's they, right? Was it the Boy Scouts? Was it, the police doing a study on themselves? These are important distinctions anytime you deal with research. And so as you are not so much doing research as using research to help identify this problem, define it, consider solutions for it, doesn't mean it's any easier, by the way. You guys are taking on a great challenge here in a very short period of time. So I'm sure you're working 40 hours a week on it. Are you? No? So get in there, and I'm just trying to get your mind right. If you get your mind right, because if you're thinking it the wrong way, nothing's going to come out right. But if you're at least thinking about it within the parameters what we're looking for, there's a great chance you're gonna get it right. Okay, and it's not like right or wrong. I mean right in terms of maximizing your solution to your social problem, right? Okay, so you have that to do. So otherwise, like I said, do those readings, because the Peer 1 discussion strategy and plan is going to be important for you to participate in and help each other out on. And I'll try to get involved if I see reason to, or if I can add anything. If you want to get a hold of me, you know how to do so on email. Because as we're moving to module 6, 7, and 8, then we're going to start really putting together something tangible, an actual plan, a paper, okay? I remember my IDS 302 class, which did research at Arizona State, and at the beginning of the class, I'd just like to think about the reaction I was getting on the other side of the screen when I said, you're going to end up submitting like a 25-page paper. And it's like watching people drop the course live, It didn't happen, but I don't want to scare people that way. I'm just saying that some papers can be 10 pages, some pages can be 30. More is not better, okay? I've never believed more is not better. More could be worse. More can be just words for the sake of words. So I just say enough. Whatever your paper needs, enough. We're not trying to hit a word count. We're not trying to go cheap. So any other questions you guys might have, let me know. It seems like I'm coming up on the 18-minute mark, which I've been consistently doing, so yay. But have a great week. I will pop in if I need to. And if you need me, you know how to reach out, okay? Thanks so much. Enjoy your June.